What if I told you that one of the most important minerals your body depends on every single day, the mineral that helps your heart beat steadily, your muscles relax, your nerves calm down, your blood sugar stay balanced, and your cells produce energy, is also one that millions of people are quietly not getting enough of? Not because it's rare, not because it's expensive, not because you need some exotic supplement, but because the foods that used to deliver it naturally, the seeds, greens, beans, and old-fashioned crops our grandparents ate without thinking twice, have slowly disappeared from the center of the modern plate. Today, we have more food than any generation before us. More snacks, more drinks, more packaged meals, more choices in every aisle, and yet millions of people are tired, tense, restless, cramping, sleeping poorly, and wondering why their bodies feel like they're running on low battery. Modern medicine calls severe deficiency hypomagnesemia, but our ancestors had a much simpler name for magnesium-rich foods. They called them dinner, because before white flour, refined sugar, and ultra-processed snacks, people ate the parts of plants that carried minerals, the seeds, the skins, the greens, the beans. They saved what the modern world throws away. And that may be one of the biggest nutritional mistakes of our time. Magnesium is involved in more than 300 enzyme reactions. Your body uses it to make energy, build protein, regulate muscle contraction, calm nerve signals, support insulin function, maintain bone structure, and keep the heart in rhythm. When magnesium runs low, the body doesn't always scream. Sometimes it whispers, a twitch in the eyelid, a cramp in the calf, a night of shallow sleep, a feeling of being wired and exhausted at the same time. A craving for chocolate that feels almost physical, a mood that turns irritable for no obvious reason. And here's the part most people miss. It's not enough to look at a chart and say, this food has magnesium. You have to ask deeper questions. How much would you actually eat? How much can your body absorb? Is it cooked in a way that makes minerals easier to use? Is it eaten as part of a real meal or swallowed in the middle of a processed diet that drains more nutrients than it gives? That's why today I'm going to show you 20 plants naturally rich in magnesium. Not just numbers from a nutrition table. The story behind them, the old wisdom, the reason our ancestors valued them, and the simple ways you can bring them back into your life. Stay with me because number 7 is a green that ancient soldiers valued for strength long before scientists understood electrolytes. Number 19 is a so-called weed that many gardeners pull and throw away, even though it may be one of the most underappreciated mineral greens on Earth. And number 20 is a plant so tied to food sovereignty and survival that colonial powers once tried to erase it from history. This is not medical advice. Food is not magic, and no plant replaces a qualified healthcare professional when something is seriously wrong. But food is foundational, and when the foundation is weak, the whole house begins to shake. So let's begin. Number 1, pumpkin seeds. The mineral pharmacy in your hand. If there is one plant food that deserves more respect, it's the pumpkin seed. A small handful can contain around 150 mg of magnesium. That's an astonishing amount for something most people barely think about. Every autumn, family carve pumpkins, scoop out the seeds, and throw away one of the most mineral-dense parts of the plant. They keep the decoration and discard the nutrition. But older food cultures didn't make that mistake. They dried seeds. They roasted seeds. They stored them through winter, not because they'd read a scientific paper on magnesium, but because they understood survival. The strongest foods are often hidden in the smallest packages. Magnesium's role here is crucial. It helps muscles relax after contraction. It helps nerves avoid overstimulation. It supports energy production inside the cells. It plays a role in glucose metabolism, which is why low magnesium is often discussed alongside insulin resistance and blood sugar problems. The practical lesson is almost too simple. A small handful of raw or lightly roasted pumpkin seeds can transform the mineral profile of a meal. Add them to oatmeal, sprinkle them over soup, toss them over salads, eat them plain, but avoid turning them into another processed snack. Buried under cheap oil, excessive salt, and artificial flavors, you're walking back toward the very food system that created the deficiency in the first place. Think of pumpkin seeds as the little mineral vault your ancestors never would have wasted. Number 2, chia seeds. The ancient endurance food. Long before chia became a trendy ingredient in smoothie bowls, it was carried by people who needed food that could travel, sustain energy, and keep the body working under extreme conditions. The Tarahumara people of northern Mexico became famous for extraordinary long distance running through rugged canyon terrain. And one of the foods associated with that endurance was chia. Tiny seeds, almost weightless, dense with nutrition. Chia can provide more than 100 mg of magnesium per ounce, along with fiber, omega-3 fatty acids, calcium, and plant protein. But what makes chia fascinating is how it behaves. When chia seeds meet liquid, they form a gel. That gel slows digestion, creates fullness, and helps nutrients release more steadily. And that matters, because magnesium is deeply tied to energy metabolism. Your body needs it to make ATP, the energy currency of the cell. Second TBSP of chia in water, yogurt, oats, or a smoothie is one of the easiest habits you can build. No cooking, no complicated recipe, just a small daily act that reconnects you with a food that once helped people cross mountains. After conquest, many indigenous crops were suppressed or replaced. Foods that had sustained civilizations were treated as backward, simply because they belonged to conquered people. Sometimes we didn't lose healthy foods because they failed us. We lost them because history buried them. Think of chia as endurance wisdom that survived long enough to return to your kitchen. Before we go any further, if you're finding this valuable, take 2 seconds right now and hit that subscribe button below, and press the notification bell so you never miss a video. Every week we go deep on the foods, wisdom, and ancestral knowledge that the modern world forgot. It costs you nothing, and it means everything to this channel. Now, let's keep going, because the next 18 plants on this list get even more interesting. Number 3, almonds. The ancient traveler's medicine. The almond tree appears again and again across ancient cultures. In scripture, in Mediterranean trade routes, in Persian gardens, in the food stores of travelers and pilgrims. Almonds were valued not just for taste, but because they lasted. Before refrigeration, before protein bars, a food that could travel for weeks and still deliver energy, minerals, fat, and protein was almost sacred. An ounce of almonds provides around 75 to 80 mg of magnesium, along with vitamin E, manganese, fiber, and monounsaturated fats. Together, these make almonds a stabilizing food, especially when eaten in place of refined snacks. Magnesium plays a direct role in that stability. It helps regulate insulin signaling. It supports how the body handles glucose. It helps calm the nervous system. But there's a warning. In the modern health world, we sometimes take a good food and turn it into a flood. Almond flour, almond milk, almond everything. Too much of any single food can become a problem. The old wisdom was variety. A handful, not a mountain. Choose raw or dry roasted when possible. Soaking them overnight may improve digestibility and reduce compounds that interfere with mineral absorption. Think of almonds as the traveler's medicine, compact ancient nourishment designed to keep the body steady on the road. Number 4, cashews, the calming nut. Cashews have a softness to them, a mild sweetness, a creamy texture, a way of satisfying hunger without feeling harsh or heavy. And that may be why they're one of the easiest magnesium-rich foods for people to adopt. An ounce of cashews provides around 70 to 80 mg of magnesium. The cashew tree originated in Brazil, and traditional communities used more than just the nut. The fruit, bark, and other parts all found places in local healing systems. When a culture uses nearly every part of a plant, it usually means generations of observation found value there. Magnesium's role in the nervous system makes cashews especially interesting. It helps regulate calcium movement in nerve cells. When the nervous system is overstimulated, the body feels tense, reactive, unable to shut down. Magnesium doesn't sedate the body like a drug, but it helps create the conditions for normal relaxation. A small handful of cashews in the afternoon can be a better answer than another cup of coffee. Coffee pushes the body forward. Magnesium helps the body function. Use them with intention. Blend them into creamy sauces. Add them to stir fries. Eat a small handful slowly. Think of cashews as a gentle mineral delivery system, the kind of food that doesn't shout, but quietly supports the nervous system from the inside. Number 5, flaxseed, the seed that survived civilization. Flax is one of humanity's oldest cultivated plants. Ancient Egyptians used it. Greek physicians wrote about it. European farmers grew it. For much of human history, flax was both fabric and food, both clothing and medicine. A tablespoon of ground flax seed provides around 35 to 40 mg of magnesium, along with fiber, omega-3 fatty acids, and lignans, plant compounds studied for their relationship with inflammation and hormone balance. But the key word is ground. Whole flax seeds often pass through the digestive tract largely intact. The nutrition stays locked inside and leaves the body unused. The same food can either nourish you or simply pass through you, depending on how you prepare it. And that is one of the great lessons of ancestral eating. Traditional food was not just about ingredients. It was about technique, grinding, soaking, fermenting, cooking. These methods were not culinary decoration. They were nutritional intelligence. Add ground flaxseed to oatmeal, yogurt, smoothies, or soups. Store it cold after grinding because the oils are delicate. Think of flaxseed as ancient survival compressed into a spoonful. A reminder that small daily habits can carry enormous biological meaning. Number 6, spinach, the green that never should have been demoted. Spinach is familiar, and that may be its problem. We overlook what we see too often. But spinach has a far more dramatic history than its plastic grocery store bag suggests. Persian cultures valued it, Arab traders spread it, European kitchens adopted it. For centuries, spinach was treated as a serious food, not decoration. Cooked spinach can provide around 75 to 80 mg of magnesium per half cup. Cooking matters because a huge pile of raw spinach collapses into a small serving, concentrating the nutrients. It also reduces oxalic acid, a compound that can bind minerals and reduce absorption. Just because a plant contains magnesium doesn't mean your body absorbs all of it. Preparation matters. Lightly cooking spinach, especially with a little healthy fat, may make it more useful than eating giant raw salads every day. Add it to soups, saute it with olive oil and garlic, fold it into eggs, let it become part of meals, not just a cold pile of leaves beside the meal. Think of spinach as the famous green that needs to be restored to its proper form. Cooked with care, eaten with respect, and allowed to become medicine again. Number 7, Swiss chard, the warrior's green. Swiss chard looks like something that belongs in a painting. Deep green leaves, stems that can glow red, yellow, orange, or white. One of those vegetables that seems almost too dramatic to be ordinary. And yet, in many kitchens, it's forgotten. Swiss chard provides magnesium in amounts similar to spinach, often around 70 to 80 mg per cooked half cup. But it brings its own personality. Earthier, stronger, more mineral in flavor. This is not a shy green. It tastes like soil, rain, sun, and labor. Mediterranean cultures valued chard for centuries. Working people, farmers, soldiers, and families who needed strength from simple foods. They didn't speak in terms of magnesium or electrolytes. They spoke through observation. People who ate these greens endured. Like spinach, chard contains oxalates, so cooking is not optional if you want the best from it. Heat softens the leaves, reduces some anti-nutrient burden, and turns a tough green into something deeply satisfying. Sauté it with garlic. Add it to bean soups. Cook it with onions and olive oil. Use the stems too, just give them more time than the leaves. Swiss chard disappeared from many modern tables because it requires a little knowledge. You can't just open a bag and pretend it's ready. You have to cook. You have to participate. And maybe that's exactly why we need it. Think of Swiss chard as the warrior's green, a food that asks for fire before it gives you its strength. Number 8, black beans, the civilization builder. There are foods that feed a person, and then there are foods that help build civilizations. Black beans belong to the second category. Across Mesoamerica, beans were part of an agricultural system so intelligent, it still humbles modern farming. Corn, beans, and squash, the three sisters, grown together in a relationship of support. Corn gave the beans a stalk to climb. Beans fixed nitrogen in the soil. Squash covered the ground, protecting moisture and suppressing weeds. It wasn't just farming, it was ecology. A half cup of cooked black beans provides around 50 to 60 mg of magnesium, along with fiber, plant protein, potassium, iron, and slow-digesting carbohydrates. But the true power of black beans lies in what they do for the gut. Their fiber feeds beneficial bacteria. Those bacteria produce short-chain fatty acids that help maintain the gut lining and influence mineral absorption. Black beans don't only bring magnesium, they may help create a digestive environment where minerals are better received. Soaking, rinsing, and cooking them thoroughly reduces compounds that interfere with digestion. Traditional cultures knew this. They soaked beans not because they were bored, but because they were wise. Eat them in soups, stews, rice bowls, or simply seasoned with garlic, onions, herbs, and good salt. Think of black beans as the quiet foundation stone of food sovereignty, the kind of plant that feeds the body, the soil, and the future all at once. Number 9, edamame, the green soybean of longevity. In Japan, there is a kind of food wisdom that often hides in plain sight. Simple preparations, seasonal ingredients, small portions, deep respect for balance and repetition. Edamame fits perfectly into that tradition. Young soybeans, still green, often steamed in the pod and salted lightly, have been eaten for generations. A half cup provides around 45 to 50 mg of magnesium, along with complete plant protein, folate, vitamin K, and fiber. The phrase complete protein matters because many plant foods lack one or more essential amino acids in meaningful amounts. Soybeans are different. They contain all 9, making them especially valuable in plant-based diets. And unlike many processed soy products, edamame is close to the original plant. You see it, you steam it, you open the pod, you eat slowly. That slowness matters. Modern food is designed to be eaten unconsciously. Edamame resists that. Pod by pod, it slows the hand and gives the body time to notice nourishment. Steam frozen edamame for a few minutes. Add sea salt. Eat it as a snack or before a meal. Think of edamame as longevity wisdom in a green pod, a reminder that powerful food doesn't always need to be complicated. Number 10, lima beans, the misunderstood treasure. Lima beans may be one of the most unfairly judged foods in the modern world. For many people, the memory is not good. Overcooked, mushy, bland, forced onto childhood plates with no seasoning and no mercy. And because of that, an entire generation walked away from a mineral-rich food that older civilizations took seriously. Lima beans provide around 40 mg of magnesium per half cup, along with potassium, fiber, iron, and slow-burning carbohydrates. They were cultivated in the Americas for thousands of years. The Inca and other Andean peoples didn't survive harsh mountain environments by accident. They developed crops that could nourish people under difficult conditions. Beans were part of that survival system. The problem was never the lima bean. The problem was bad cooking. Properly prepared lima beans are creamy, satisfying, and deeply nourishing. Soak them. Cook them until tender, not destroyed. Season them with garlic, onions, herbs, olive oil, and good salt. Give them the dignity you would give a more fashionable food, and they will surprise you. Think of lima beans as the misunderstood mineral vault, abandoned not because they failed us, but because we forgot how to cook them. We're halfway through, and if this video is changing the way you think about food, I want to ask you something simple. Hit that subscribe button right now and press the bell so you get notified every time we post. We cover ancestral foods, longevity nutrition, and the kind of food wisdom that used to be common knowledge, and we put out new videos every week. If you've been watching without subscribing, now is the perfect moment. It's free, it takes 1 second, and it helps this channel keep going. All right, 10 more plants to go, and the ones coming up include a weed growing in your garden right now, a food that an empire tried to ban, and a few others that might completely change what you reach for at the grocery store. Number 11, quinoa, the seed of rebuilding. The Inca called quinoa the mother of all grains. Though technically, it's not a grain at all, it's a seed. And that distinction matters because quinoa carries a nutritional profile that sets it apart from most cereal grains. A half cup cooked provides around 55 to 60 mg of magnesium along with all 9 essential amino acids, fiber, manganese, phosphorus, and iron. This made quinoa especially valuable in high-altitude regions where survival required crops that could endure cold, poor soils, and difficult growing conditions. Quinoa was rebuilding food for strength, food for recovery, food for bodies that needed repair. Modern science helps explain why. Magnesium is needed for protein synthesis, and quinoa brings both magnesium and complete protein. That combination makes it especially useful for people trying to build or maintain muscle, recover from stress, or replace refined starches with something more nutrient-dense. Rinse it well before cooking. The natural coating called saponin can taste bitter if not removed. Cook it gently. Use it where you might use rice or oats. Long before quinoa appeared on restaurant menus, it was sacred mountain food. Think of quinoa as a rebuilding seed carried through history by people who understood that survival depends on crops strong enough to grow where easier foods cannot. Number 12, avocado, the vitality fruit. The avocado is often treated like a modern health celebrity, but its story is ancient. Long before toast made it famous, Mesoamerican cultures valued avocado as a food of strength, fertility, and vitality. One avocado provides around 50 to 60 mg of magnesium, but that's only the beginning. It also brings potassium, fiber, and monounsaturated fats. In plain language, avocado helps meals work better. The magnesium and potassium pairing is especially important. Magnesium helps blood vessels relax. Potassium helps balance sodium's effect on blood pressure. Together, they support cardiovascular function in a way that is both simple and profound. For decades, people were taught to fear fat. Avocados suffered under that mistaken idea. But the body needs healthy fats to absorb fat-soluble vitamins and to build hormones and cell membranes. The problem was never whole food fat. The problem was the industrial replacement of real foods with refined products. Eat avocado with salt and lime. Add it to salads. Use it beside beans, eggs, greens, or whole potatoes. It makes other foods more satisfying, which may help people naturally move away from processed snacks. Think of avocado as the vitality fruit that survived decades of bad nutrition advice and came back because the body never forgot what real nourishment feels like. Number 13, potatoes with skin. The food we blamed for our own mistakes. The potato has been slandered, not because it failed us, but because we changed it. We peeled it, fried it, drowned it in refined oil, turned it into chips, stripped away the skin. Then we pointed at the potato and called it unhealthy. But a whole potato, especially with its skin, is a very different food. A medium potato with skin provides around 40 to 50 mg of magnesium, along with potassium, vitamin C, vitamin B6, fiber, and resistant starch, especially when cooked and cooled. The skin matters. Much of the mineral and fiber value lives there. When you peel a potato, you're not just removing texture, you're removing part of its intelligence. The Andean peoples who developed countless potato varieties were not fools. They selected potatoes for survival, storage, resilience, and nourishment in harsh mountain climates. Potatoes were not junk food. They were sacred technology. Bake them whole. Roast them with the skin, boil them unpeeled, cool them, and use them in salads. Let the resistant starch feed your gut bacteria. The potato didn't become harmful because it grew in the ground. It became harmful when the industrial food system turned it into a vehicle for cheap oil and excess salt. Think of the whole potato as a wrongly accused ancestor food waiting for you to stop peeling away its medicine. Number 14, green peas, the quiet garden healer. Green peas rarely get dramatic attention. They are familiar, soft, sweet, and ordinary. They sit beside meals like background music, but ordinary foods are sometimes the ones that keep families alive. A half cup of green peas provides around 30 mg of magnesium. That number may not shock anyone, but peas have another advantage. People can eat them regularly and easily. And nutrition is not only about intensity, it's about repetition. In traditional European food culture, peas were a winter survival food. They could be dried, stored, and turned into soups when fresh vegetables were gone. Pea soup was not a symbol of poverty, it was mineral insurance. The foods that look humble were often the most important. The glamorous foods appeared at feasts. The humble foods kept people alive between them. Keep frozen peas in your kitchen. Add them to rice, soups, stews, pasta, or grain bowls. They cook in minutes. They add sweetness and nutrition without demanding effort. Think of green peas as the garden's quiet medicine. Never dramatic, never fashionable, but always ready to give more than people expect. Number 15, bananas, the first aid fruit. There is a reason bananas became one of the most widely eaten fruits on Earth. They are portable, sweet, soft, easy to digest, and naturally packaged, but their convenience should not make us dismiss them. A medium banana contains around 30 to 35 mg of magnesium, along with potassium, vitamin B6, fiber, and quick but natural energy. The magnesium-potassium combination in bananas supports muscle and nerve function. People often think only of potassium when cramps appear, but magnesium matters too. The body doesn't run on one mineral at a time. It runs on relationships. Bananas are not ideal for everyone in unlimited amounts. People managing blood sugar may need to be mindful, but treating a whole banana like candy is a modern confusion. A banana is not the same as refined sugar. Eat one before activity, add it to oats, pair it with nuts or seeds, let it replace processed sweets. Think of the banana as the original first aid fruit, a food the body understands quickly when it needs gentle energy and mineral support. Number 16, papaya, the tropical digestive healer. Papaya is one of those fruits that traditional medicine recognized in several parts of the world independently. Central America, East Africa, Southeast Asia. Tropical communities looked at papaya and saw more than sweetness. They saw medicine. A small papaya contains around 30 mg of magnesium, but its most famous compound is papain, an enzyme that helps break down proteins. This is why papaya has long been associated with digestion. It doesn't just feed the body, it helps prepare the body to receive food. And that matters because magnesium absorption depends partly on digestive health. If the gut is inflamed or functioning poorly, nutrients on paper may not become nutrients in the cells. Eat it raw, heat damages the enzymes. Add lime, eat it in the morning, blend it into smoothies. Think of papaya as the tropical healer, a fruit that helps remind the digestive system how to receive nourishment. Number 17, blackberries, the hedgerow pharmacy. Before pharmacies stood on every corner, hedgerows carried medicine. At the edges of fields and forests, thorny plants grew in dense living walls. They marked boundaries, protected soil, sheltered birds, and produced food. Among the most treasured was the blackberry. A cup of blackberries contains around 25 to 30 mg of magnesium. Modest compared to seeds or beans, but blackberries bring something else. Deep purple-black antioxidants called anthocyanins, studied for their relationship with inflammation, cardiovascular health, and cognitive aging. Here's where the story becomes more interesting. Chronic inflammation can increase the body's demand for magnesium. A food that provides some magnesium while also helping reduce oxidative stress is more valuable than its mineral number alone suggests. If you have space, grow blackberries along a fence line. If you can forage safely, learn to identify them. If you buy them, choose fresh or frozen and eat them without drowning them in sugar. Think of blackberries as the hedgerow pharmacy, the sweet medicine growing where the wild world meets the cultivated one. Number 18, acorn squash, the winter storehouse. Winter squash was one of the great storage foods of indigenous North America. Long after harvest, when fresh greens were gone and cold weather arrived, squash remained. It sat in storage like a promise. Acorn squash provides around 60 mg of magnesium per cooked cup, along with potassium, vitamin C, beta-carotene, fiber, and slow carbohydrates. It is warm, grounding, and deeply satisfying. In the Three Sisters system, squash protected the soil. Its broad leaves shaded the ground, conserving moisture and discouraging weeds. Its fruit stored energy for the future. This is what true agriculture once meant. Not forcing the land into submission, but designing relationships. Cut it in half, remove the seeds, brush with olive oil, season with salt and herbs, roast until tender, eat it straight from the skin. Modern supply chains trained us to eat the same foods all year round, but winter squash teaches seasonality. There is a time to harvest, a time to store, and a time to be nourished by what the earth prepared months ago. Think of acorn squash as winter medicine, a storage crop built to carry minerals and comfort through the cold. Number 19, purslane, the weed trying to heal you. Here is the wild one, the plant many gardeners see, pull, and throw away. Purslane, it grows low to the ground with fleshy leaves and reddish stems. It appears in garden beds, cracks, paths, and disturbed soil. Places where people think nothing valuable is happening. And yet, across the world, from Mediterranean kitchens to Mexican markets to traditional Chinese medicine, purslane has been recognized as both food and medicine. Cooked purslane can provide impressive magnesium levels, often rivaling better-known greens. It also contains omega-3 fatty acids in the form of ALA, which is rare for a leafy plant. Add antioxidants, potassium, and a bright lemony flavor, and suddenly this weed starts looking like a nutritional scandal. How did we forget it? Industrial agriculture doesn't love plants that grow freely and refuse control. If a plant competes with cash crops and can't be easily packaged into a corporate supply chain, it becomes a weed. Not because it lacks value, but because it lacks a business model. Some foods disappeared not because they were weak, but because they were too free. Learn to identify purslane correctly before eating it. Once you know it, use it raw in salads, saute it briefly, add it to soups, or cook it with eggs and vegetables. It has been called common, but common doesn't mean worthless. Sometimes common means generous. Think of purslane as the weed that has been trying to heal you every time you reached for the hoe. Number 20. Amaranth leaves, the banned food that refused to die. And now we come to the plant with the most powerful story of all, amaranth. Its leaves can provide around 70 mg of magnesium per cooked cup, along with calcium, iron, vitamin A, vitamin C, and other minerals. The seeds are rich in protein and can be used like a grain. As a whole plant, amaranth is one of the most complete ancestral foods on Earth. But the nutrition is only half the story. In the Aztec world, amaranth was not just food, it was sacred. It was tied to ceremony, identity, strength, and survival. When Spanish colonizers arrived, they recognized that destroying a people's food system was one way to weaken their culture. Amaranth cultivation was suppressed and in some areas banned under penalty of death. Imagine a plant so important that an empire wanted it erased, and yet it survived. It survived in remote fields, in the hands of people who refused to forget, as a leafy green in Africa, Asia, and the Americas, as an ornamental plant in gardens where people admired its beauty without knowing its history. That is the kind of plant amaranth is. It does not disappear easily. Cook the young leaves as you would spinach or chard. Saute them with garlic and oil. Add them to soups and stews. Use the seeds as porridge. Grow it if your climate allows. Amaranth reminds us that food is never just food. Food is memory. Food is power. Food is independence. A people who can grow mineral-rich crops in their own soil are harder to control than people who depend entirely on packaged food from distant systems. Think of amaranth as the banned medicine that refused to die, the plant that outlasted the empire that tried to silence it. 20 plants, 20 doors back into mineral wisdom. Pumpkin seeds, chia, almonds, cashews, flax, spinach, Swiss chard, black beans, edamame, lima beans, quinoa, avocado, potatoes with skin, green peas, bananas, papaya, blackberries, acorn squash, purslane, amaranth. Some are ancient crops. Some are grocery store staples. Some are weeds under your feet. Some were sacred. Some were forgotten. Some were almost erased. But all of them tell the same story. Magnesium deficiency is not only a personal problem, it is a food system problem. It is what happens when people move away from whole plants, seeds, skins, greens, and beans, and begin living on refined flour, sugar, processed oils, and packaged convenience. White sugar gives you no magnesium. Refined oils give you no magnesium. White flour gives you almost nothing compared to the whole foods it replaced. And yet these ingredients now form the backbone of modern diets across much of the world. We fill the stomach while starving the cells. We eat constantly and still feel depleted. The answer is not to panic. The answer is to return. Return to seeds. Return to greens. Return to beans. Return to the skin of the potato. Return to the weeds your grandmother may have recognized. Return to the crops that fed civilizations before processed food convinced us that convenience was the same thing as nourishment. And start small. A handful of pumpkin seeds instead of chips. Ground flax in breakfast. Black beans simmering on the stove. Spinach cooked with garlic. A whole potato with the skin left on. A ripe avocado beside your meal. A few blackberries from the freezer. A pot of amaranth greens cooked the way spinach used to be cooked. This is not about perfection. It is not about turning food into fear. It is not about chasing one miracle plant. It is about remembering that the body was designed to receive minerals from real food, eaten consistently, prepared wisely, and respected as part of life. And when you do that, something changes. Maybe not instantly like a magic trick, but deeply. The nervous system begins to feel less hunted. The muscles begin to relax. The energy begins to return. The cravings begin to soften. The old foods begin to do what they have always done. They nourish. They restore. They reconnect. So, the next time you see pumpkin seeds, don't see a snack. See a mineral pharmacy. The next time you cook beans, don't see poor people's food. See the foundation of civilizations. The next time you leave the skin on a potato, see an act of nutritional respect. The next time you find purslane growing in your garden, pause before you pull it. And the next time someone says healthy eating is complicated, remember this: the most powerful foods on earth are often simple, old, humble, and waiting exactly where we left them. In the garden, in the market, in the field, at the edge of the path, and sometimes growing quietly beneath our feet. If this video gave you something real, a new way of seeing the food on your plate, a plant you're going to try, or simply a reminder of what nourishment is supposed to feel like, then do one thing before you leave. Hit that subscribe button and press the notification bell. Every week, we go deep on ancestral foods, healing plants, and the nutritional wisdom that modern life has quietly pushed aside. There are people out there who need this information and haven't found it yet. When you subscribe and share this video, you help it reach them. Drop a comment below and tell me which plant surprised you most. Was it the purslane growing in your garden, the potato you've been peeling, the amaranth that survived a colonial ban? I read every single comment. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next one.